Can you believe that this is Takahiro Sakurai's first ever visit to Singapore? He has been working as a professional voice actor since 1996. That's before some of you were even born. That's a 29-year-long career. And not once has his work taken him abroad to Singapore until now. And it's all thanks to Demon Slayer. Sakurai-san also shared with local media that he's actually quite happy to be in Singapore because Japan is super hot now. I checked online and temperatures are soaring up to 37 degrees Celsius. Phew! I'm Tanya May, a journalist that covers games, anime, and esports. I'm one of the 5 selected local media who were invited to an exclusive interview with Takahiro Sakurai when he was here on Monday, August 11th, the day of the international premiere of Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba Infinity Castle. It was a closed-door interview and we are not allowed to video record, so here's the deal. All 5 media outlets are only allowed to write articles based on this group interview. While I cannot share the audio recordings either, I also think overall it's just nice to give you a personal perspective of what happened and some of the small talk that we made after the interview with Sakurai-san. For the record, Giyu is my favorite Hashira and I am a big male seiyuu fan, so being able to do this was a dream come true for sure. Now, because we were not allowed to record footage, I am going to be using B-rolls for this video, so if you want to go off and do something else and leave the audio on, now's a good time to do so. Now, first off, the interview was held at Shangri-La, a 5-star luxury hotel that I had to trek up to. Yes, trek, because it is so inaccessible by public transport. It is a 15 to 20 minute walk from Orchard Station and you're walking upslope the whole time. It was also drizzling that day, so by the time I reached Shangri-La at 9:30 a.m., I was sweating and wet. Anyhow, each media outlet was told to prepare 4 questions for Takahiro Sakurai, but time was tight. We were told that we were only given 20 minutes in total. Now, that's including translations, so it's impossible for everyone to ask 4. We sat in a semicircle and the rule was that each outlet would take turns asking 1 question per round. Unfortunately, to my horror, there were outlets that sneaked in a quote-unquote follow-up question to their first question, which was very disrespectful to the rest of the journalists. They did not respect the rules laid out for the group interview. Now, putting my anger aside, I reorganized the questions for a better flow, and of course, I'll tell you word for word all of Takahiro Sakurai's translated English answers, but I won't be telling you which outlets asked which questions. I will, however, tell you which question I asked because he gave a long, thoughtful answer, and I'm so happy I managed to ask him this 1 question. Yay! Let's get to it. Question 1. What was your initial reaction when you found out that you would be voicing Giyu Tomioka in Demon Slayer? Sakurai-san said, the first time when I knew I got the role, I couldn't have predicted that this anime would become this big. I was happy to receive the role, but it wasn't a big shock or anything. It was a simple process, one of the auditions I was going through at that time. The outlet then followed up and asked, did you already know of Demon Slayer before joining the cast? Sakurai-san said, I did not know about the manga beforehand. The first time I heard about it was during the audition. Question 2. What was your first impression when you read for Giyu and how did that shape your initial performance of the character? Sakurai-san said, the scene I had to do for the audition was the scene where Giyu first encountered Tanjiro. That's where the audience figures out who Tanjiro is and what's the relationship between Tanjiro and Giyu. That has the most special place in my heart that I've kept throughout the entire season. Question 3. Giyu is one of the most popular characters in Demon Slayer. What do you think defines him as a person? Sakurai-san said, the key focus for me is the relationship between Tanjiro and Giyu. So for me, it was about keeping the consistency in the anime and the manga version, as well as the relationship between these two characters. This was the most important thing for me. Question 4. What is the appealing point of Giyu? Sakurai-san said, the fact that his basic character is calm and collected, and he doesn't show too much emotion. The reason why he has this facade has to do with his past. It's something that he can't disclose that easily. Because he has that cool and not so talkative side, that's what attracts people to him, and that's what makes him appealing as a character. The outlet then followed up with this question. From the very first episode to the last, it will be a very different outcome. We're not aware of what's going to happen, so what should fans expect in Infinity Castle? Sakurai-san said, we don't know what's going to happen, just be excited. Question 5. Now, here we are at my question. I asked, you had the most lines during the Hashira training arc episode 2 when we finally learned of Giyu's backstory and he accepts being the Water Hashira. There's finally considerable character growth. What did you focus on while recording? Sakurai-san said, at the last episode of the Hashira training arc, that's where Giyu's real character is revealed. He's not calm and collected. There's a reason for it. There's actually more color to his character than being quiet and not talking. The last part is where we see it very evidently. This is my personal perception, but towards the end of the season, as well as some of those episodes in the middle, there were some hints that Giyu was giving out. Specifically in the scene where Shinobu tells Giyu, you'll be disliked by other people. But Giyu said no, that's not true. If Giyu really was a cool, emotionless person, this person would typically reply, well, I don't care if people don't like me. But instead of reacting like that, Giyu decided to say no, I won't be disliked. So that was the hint already of Giyu not just being a take it or leave it type of person. Question 6. How different or similar was Giyu compared to other roles that you've played? Sakurai-san said, my attitude towards voice acting is the same no matter which role I play. Specifically for Demon Slayer, from a personal perspective, it changed my life. For example, I got to travel overseas, like being here in Singapore today. This wasn't a common experience for other roles. Question 7. What are your must-haves in the recording studio and how do you get back your energy after a recording session? Sakurai-san said, nothing special to be honest. Most important for me is to have my script and pen and cold barley tea. I also make sure my body is in good condition. Other Demon Slayer cast members all have their own routine and I also have my own way. During recordings, the Demon Slayer cast would pick their favorite spots around the table and everybody prefers to sit on the edge. The media then asked Sakurai-san if he too preferred the corners and he nodded saying in English, I'm Japanese, which made us all laugh. We also found out that seats are on a first come first serve basis. And that's it. That was a really quick interview. I didn't even get to ask my second question due to time constraints. The next time we saw him was during the red carpet in the evening, and my only regret is probably not telling him that I've liked many of his roles since Junjo Romantica, which, if you know, you know. That's our little secret.